Okay, finally, we're live. Okay, finally, and I'll just put some Discord. Jason, it's working. It's working. All right, I'll just at general announcements.
Did you?
Yeah, I just came out of it.
How was it?
It was alright. I'm not that confident on it. I didn't practice or anything. I was like, that was my first time.
There's fun questions on there.
Yeah.
Weird ones.
It is fun to think about. If anything, I'm just like brain exercise all like an hour.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Oops, that's definitely the wrong thing. Share.
Choice kind of a little easier though. Like,
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
like some of the like, oh, that's definitely not.
Yeah.
Okay, hold up.
It seems like those people who try to like show you how to approach those types of questions where you do a very a generalization of the answer to the problem, where you're not actually plugging in anything. You're just saying like, oh well, this was divisible by this, or this if you multiply it like this, it should come out like this. You don't entirely know what it actually would be, but if it's close to this number, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Is that the practice one?
Yeah, I think so.
There's like some problems today.
Okay. Alright.
We can use the time for introduction.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
so tomorrow you can.
Yeah, sorry.
Alright. Sorry for the delays, but I'm here now. Okay. We have the contest tomorrow. Jason. Okay.
Yep.
I think you're here, right?
Camera has a delay. Everybody said.
Okay, well, no, we can see it from our end. Here's,
Oh.
yeah.
Hello.
Okay.
All right, buddies, it is time to begin. We have the contest tomorrow. It'll be very, very exciting. For today,
Yeah.
we're going to go over a few of the practice problems. We need to take a look at input parsing is the biggest one.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, guys. All right, so let's get started with some practice problems.
Yeah, got it.
Let's go over the practice on the contest.
Yeah, for sure. Let's take a look at that first practice problem on the contest, which is just you're given a list of numbers, space separated, and you have to find the median. For example, you're given the input of like 2, 5, 6, 3, 1. What's the missing number? 4. So you're given a list like this. The input for the problem. So the first thing you do to look at a problem is you have to look at the input constraints and the output for us. You have to see how is the input going to be formatted, how's the input going to be formatted, how's the output going to be formatted. If you guys like, you can pull up the practice problems right now. Take a look at median.
Oh, where can they find the practice problems?
That
Is
should
it
be
linked
on the Discord somewhere.
Contest info?
Probably. You can.
Okay.
Yeah. This probably should be in the contest info if you look up SCP median in there. We're taking a look at median. Yeah. The input for this problem will look something like this. You're given one number here, and you have a list down here.
These are on separate lines also.
This inputs will be different depending on the problem. So whenever you start a problem, your first step has to be besides reading the problem itself, look at the input format and the output format. That way you know how the input is going to look like and how to format the output as well. So who's on the website right now?
Oh, my laptop.
I want you guys to take a look at median.
Wait, are you guys able
I
to
thought the first
find?
one was like
Oh, it was blank, yeah.
scared for myself.
Why?
Tomorrow. When I'll be there coding. I'm not I'm kidding.
I know. You have to.
Is it like a computer lab?
It's in the computer labs, yeah, downstairs. Yeah.
Hopefully no one has to use this.
I don't think anyone uses those. Oh no. Maybe actually, yeah, people do.
Maybe. They're not that bad. They're
The
okay.
computers? No, the computers are pretty good.
Really?
I think so, yeah. Have you seen it?
Is it like really?
Yeah, I know, yeah, they're pretty good.
Are they chunky old ones? Or
No, the monitors are like pretty modern.
really?
Yeah, they upgraded them. It's like better than those, maybe even like,
Is it a lab where they meet for the computer engineering class?
dude, I don't remember that course.
No. The
Physics in it?
computer engineering.
No, not that.
You know that one?
But it has those types of computers. Those are pretty much. Okay, let's see. I don't know where it is linked.
I wish I could.
Oh, you can.
But Carol, are you confused? I know it sucks. You can't. You told me. I know. Yeah, it's still going. I don't know where it's linked. Is it in contest?
So on problems like this on this contest problem, if you guys are used to leak code, you're given like a function with the array. In this case, maybe in a median leak code problem, you're given like an array, then you have to find the median. And a problem like this on HackerRank, or something like the ICPC, maybe when you go to the SAPE will be formatted the same. You're not given any functions. You're just given the input in the standard input. In the case of Java, that would be the scanner with a system in. Python, it would be input. C++, it would be cin and cout. You're not given any functions. You're not given any starter code. You have to parse the input. Pretty much that's going to be from the standard input, and then do your code on that. Maybe it's a little bit difficult from people who are coming from leak code to this style of contest, but that's what we're going to get used to today. On a problem like this, if you look at the input, format, the first number will be the length of this list. Most contests will do something similar. In specific languages, there is a way, and most languages will have a way to this. You take in this entire list all at once, and then get the length from that. Sometimes that's not very convenient. Some languages, that is more difficult than others. So most contests, this one included, will provide a number here, which will give you the length of the array they have to take in. Not every problem will have to format it just like this. Some problems will format it differently, so it's up to you to take a look at the input constraints, the input format, to see how you can use this data to better parse your array. A question like this, where you're given 6 elements of this array, you want to take this list and put it in your code. I want to ask first, what languages are we all using? Python?
And
Java?
if you're watching online, just put it in the chat.
Who's using C++? Any other languages?
So mostly Java.
So we'll go over all those languages, starting with Python, because everything is easy. And Python,
Wait, who knows the map function in Python?
and we'll talk about map.
Okay.
In Python, there is, when you're getting input, it's easiest in Python. We don't even need to worry about this number in Python. All we need to do to get rid of this number, do you guys know a way to read one line from the input, ignore it, and then move on to the next line? How would you do that? Just call input. So if your file looks like this in Python, we would just call input. What this input does, it reads one line and returns it as a string. Note that it does return as a string, which we'll get to later. For now, we're just going to ignore this line. We don't need it, because we can parse this one instantly using a very, very interesting thing. How about we call the results of this one, maybe? I'd like to call it ARR for array.
Yeah.
The reason I'm not going to use list is because list is a built-in function. If I override that function, then it's going to cause big problems. To take in this line, we can start by doing this. I can call this one string. I'm going to call it line, actually. Line equals the input. This is going to be the single line, just like we did here, except we're saving it inside.
And it'll be a string.
this 2, 5, 6, 3, 1, 4. All space separated. We need to turn this one into a list of numbers so we can do operation. To turn it into a list of numbers, we can start by splitting it to get all these characters by one.
Don't you have to? Is this a string you can convert into a number?
No, we cannot on this.
Well, we
This
want
we will do that later.
taking advantage of the fact that it's a string.
We-
Split method. Well, yeah.
Yes. We cannot convert this into integer. You're right. We do have to convert it, but we cannot do that. This will fail because of space. We'll do that later. How about we call this one strings equals. We're going to split this one on the spaces to turn this one into a split. By default, split will split on a space. Or you can just put a space string in here. We could split in space. You can also put a character here, it'll split on that character. For this one, we're using space. Maybe sometimes problems with space by tabs or new lines. So
Take your string, and every time there's a space, it'll split your string. That's
Great.
one element, and split it again. So it'll just go through the whole thing and split each number.
this will return a list.
A list.
In this case, it will be a list of strings. In this case, it'll look like 2, 5, 6, 3, 1, 4. If we took the median of this one, it would not work. These are not numbers. These are strings. This is where we have to do the turn these ones into int. It is built in. Yes.
Just strings, yes, it is.
This thing right now, we have to turn each of these ones into an integer. We have to use the map.
Or like what you would do without map.
What I would do without map.
Yeah.
If you didn't know about the map function, do something like this. It would be an array equals a new array. You're gonna have the length of this one, maybe be the length of the strings. So pretty much what I'm doing here, I'm making a new list with the length of this one. And then I'm gonna start slowly filling it in. For my range of that length of the strings, I'm going to set array as I to be equal to length of strings I.
So I'm just gonna go through each element in this string list of strings, just convert it to an integer, then add it to the array. So it creates a copy of the array with the same elements but integers.
At the very end, this will look like this. Let's go to work, but in Python, there's a much, much better. I'll show you the map function.
So all we did was we applied the integer function to every element in the array. But the map function, which is going to show you, can do the whole.
We're going to start by, can I screen to this? I'll move it over here.
Or
That's fine. I'll just put it over here. We're going to start once again with inputs. Let's say, have to get rid of that one. And then we'll do another input. First step, just like here, we're just going to go through this one step by step again. Split it on the space. So at the very end, this will leave me with this string. And we need to map each of those values to an integer. Map just means I take in one value, I do a function on it, and then I return the value. I'm going to do this one very easily, which we're going to use to make this line, all of these lines, into one single line. Map int, comma, this list. This becomes a list. This map means we're calling int on every single one of these elements. By itself, this will not work. Map is going to return an object, but it's not going to return a list. We have to cast this one into a list by storing it with list. This is why I was not going to use list as a variable name earlier. If I were to use list equals a list of numbers, then this function would not work because Python is trying to call list as a function when it's a variable. At the very end, we just set it to the array, and this is this code in a single line. If you cannot remember this, just do this code. It's fine. It works. but this one is faster to write. That's how we can do the input parsing in Python.
Does this make sense?
Any questions?
Any questions?
What does this look like in Java?
In Java, it will be pretty much this. There is a way to do this one in Java, but let's go into streams and lambdas. I think it's better to just do
Are there
this
lambdas
in Java. Yeah, lambdas in Java. I don't know which lambdas. This is recorded on the stream, so you can check the recording later. In Java, we're pretty much just going to go through the same Python code over here, but with scanner. Just like before, first number here, 6. In this case, in the case of Java, there are 2 ways to do this one. We can either use the primitive array or the array list. I will use a primitive array here. You can do this with array list, but I'll just use the array of integers. I'm going to call this one ARR once again, equals a new array of integers. Well, how many elements is this going to have? 6 elements, right? We have to first start by getting the 6 into our code. How about we start by making a scanner? My scanner, or whatever you want to call the scanner, equals a new scanner. Has everyone done this input parsing before? Has anyone not?
Yeah.
Does this look familiar? All we're doing here is making a scanner. The standard input from these. When we do this, and I can't remember, I think we have to catch the exception. That's good. Let's start by making the int times, or the length. Let's call this one length. Instead of doing that one, let's have that length equal to the first number dot next int. This is going to get me the 6 from the standard input. In Java, next int, next long, next double, next word, or next actually. All those ones are going to treat all white space the same. Spaces are the same as tabs. So the next time the first time we call next int is going to be the 6. Second time it's going to be the 2. Third time it's going to be the 5, 6, 3, 1, 4. All in order. Next int pretty much just reads a number separated by white space. We don't need to worry about the new lines. Some cases where you want to use next line instead of next int, but for this one we'll just use the next int. Let's make that array. ARR is going to be equal to new array with length of length. And I'm guessing everyone here has worked with arrays before, right? For loop. Int I equals 0. I is less than the length. I plus plus. So we're just going for loop. We're going through every index in this one and setting array at that index equal to the next int. Just like we did over here, we're just going to take in an integer, set it to the list. Integer, set it to the list, go to the list. Array at I is going to be equal to scanner next int. We're not actually going to need this one. It's this one line. In Java, if you have a for loop with only one line inside it, then you don't need the curly braces. I hope that's legible. At the very end, this array is going to be looking like this: 2, 5, 6, 3, 1, 4. Note that on Java, we didn't need to use an integer.parseInt, right? Scanner.xInt is going to handle type conversion automatically. So we don't need to use any integer.parseInt like we did in Python. But this will do that automatically for us. All we need to do is to take the number, put it inside the list. Yep. Oh, that's not a question. Anyone have a question?
Makes sense.
Don't forget to import your scanner.
Yep, import the scanner as well. Most IDEs will do that for you. IntelliJ is very good, so I forget about the imports. But do you remember the imports? The C++ version is very, very similar to here, but instead of using scanner, it's even simpler than this one. So we'll get rid of this thing. And we'll get rid of this one. In C++, you would use CIN to get an input and put it into a variable. We're first gonna, just like before, make the length variable. Wow. Oh, that works. Nice. I'll use this one. I'm gonna get that length. Now we're gonna set the length to the inputs. I think it's this.
Yeah.
Same logic we'll use as Java. We'll make the list of numbers, and we're gonna pass in the parameters. Sorry, we're gonna pass in the input into here. So array of the length. So we've got an array of ints. For loop, just like before, is the same as Java. We're going to use the cin again to bring in a number from the input to the array. So it would be input array at I. Length. Since we declared length as an int here, C++ should do this cin automatically for length. Is that true? I don't know C++. Is that right? Okay. Okay. If it's not, give it a try. I'm pretty sure that's right.
Yeah.
But I should end up with that 256314, just like before.
Who's using C++ for the boot test?
It's fast language. I need to learn it as well.
But these are
Ooh.
it's like but don't mix them up.
Sure. I'm over here. Okay. Is there anyone who hasn't tried to code this problem yet? How about we take a look at just writing the input parsing for this problem, and then we'll talk about the logic of the problem as well.
Okay.
So take a look at the problem. Do this in your language of choice, and then we'll come back and talk about the actual solving of the problem, which is finding the median.
Are there a time complexity for the contest? Is that like a
Yes, it's a very, very big concern. This contest, we need to worry about writing an algorithm that works and is fast. The time complexity, I don't know if you guys are used to that. Yes, it does. If it runs in a, so your programs, when you're in this contest, needs to be right and fast. If you use like
Is it accept slow solutions?
I made it so slow solutions, if it works, will get you 1/3 of the score, but fast solutions will get you the whole score. Maybe I'll change it to half of the score. I'm not sure. This is our first contest, so I don't know. Maybe I'll change it later. I'll think about it.
It's good.
But your solutions have to be right and fast. I'll be, of course, walking around helping you with brainstorming ideas. How I'm going to make it for the contest is that, of course, this is an opportunity for us all to learn. I don't want you guys to go in the contest without learning anything. When there are at least 3 teams who have solved the problem, I will give you guys hints on the problems as well.
wait? So, like out of everyone, if 3 of them have done it already during the contest,
During the contest,
then you will
right.
everyone.
To everyone. Whole point of this is to learn, right?
Yeah.
Leave without learning anything, what do you get out of it?
It's good.
How's everyone going on the median input parsing? I will say HackerRank it does give you a place to write your code, but feel free to use your own ideas. There's a lot of things on there. It's kind of on your own. You're allowed to bring your own laptops.
Yeah.
Your own devices are fine. You look at computers if you don't have that. So now we've got the input parsing done. What do you think we can do to actually solve this problem?
This is a lot.
Two parts of a problem is going to be parsing the input and then actually solving the problem. So how would we go about finding a median of this list?
First of all, what is the median of a list? Like, what does that even mean?
The middle.
The middle number. Yeah. So like the
Middle
the,
number
fif-
was
the
sorted
50th percentile. Yeah. So, what?
That means it has to be sorted first.
That just means it's not. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Sorting would be a really big key here.
When we take a look at a problem, don't go to code it immediately. Instead, I would recommend you write it down on a piece of paper, solve it by hand, go through your own logic. How would you as a person solve this problem instead of just jumping in and make a computer do it?
Then
So
translate that to
there's a big difference between so you would have to, how would you start by doing this one if you're doing it as a human, not as a computer? Explain to me in human language, how do I get the median of this list? Yeah, so sort it, look at the middle.
So if I sorted that, like 1, 2, 3, 5, 6.
Then how do I get the median of this one?
How do you get the median from here?
Don't you count how many there are and divide that by the sum?
That one is the mean, the average. We're looking for the median.
Yeah, that would be the average.
Median is defined on the content. If you want to take a look there.
The index of length divided by 2. But
In human language. You're on the right track.
Yeah.
But how would
Like,
you do it?
without any code, like what would you do here? Like what's the median?
3.44?
3.5. Yes. If you have an even number, there's no like of numbers, like there's no middle value. You just average the two middle values.
This is explained
So-
in the contest, so make sure to read that one as well.
Yeah,
In this case, it'll be 3.5.
So you get like 3 plus.
exactly. So let's walk through what we did here, like in terms of like as a human. So first we sorted the list, right? We wrote it in ascending order, so 1 to 6. Then we found the middle element. And then we had to check, though, is there a middle element or is there 2 middle elements? So realistically, what would that be? That would mean that the list is either an odd length or an even length, right? So if we had to define is it odd or even length. And then depending on if it's odd or even, we just selected the median or we calculated it. So say instead we had like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's pretty easy. That would be our median, right? But since we have an even number of numbers, yeah, then the median would be in between these two. So let's walk through putting this logic into code. Does anyone have an idea? So I'm better with Python. How would we sort a list in Python? Right.
In Python, it's very easy, yeah.
So just do array dot.
Will you win this contest? Then let me tell you a story. Let me tell you about the first time I was in a contest. 2021, I was in Code Wars. That's the high school coding contest. When I was in Code Wars, man, I was using Java. I didn't realize you could use the built-in sorting functions. I wrote my own sorting function. I wrote an O of n squared binary insertion sort. Very, very bad algorithm. So use what your language gives you, okay? Don't feel bad
Yeah.
about using the tools your language gives you. Use that one to make your code better.
I believe this is n log n.
Yes.
N log n, yeah. Which do you guys know what this means? Like when we're saying what? And like it's like time complexity, it's like how fast your algorithm is. Yeah. So n log n is much faster than n squared O of n squared. So now we need to find the middle element. How would we find the middle element?
maybe identify if it's odd or even first?
Yes. How would we do that? How
Because
do we first get that?
Yeah.
Mod?
Hmm?
Mod. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
mod, yeah.
Mod
take
would
the
be
mod.
good. Okay, so no, let's do array. So length of array.
I know the.
Yeah, we know the.
So do we need to do that?
So
You
we'll
can. Otherwise, the same thing.
mod the
You
length
could
of the
use the mod.
array.
Yeah, that's fine.
And check if it's equal to 0.
Does everyone know here how the mod works? Mod is just if I take let's say 11 mod 3, or let's do 8 mod 3. 8 mod 3 comes out is just 8 divided by 3 and take the remainder.
Yes.
If we're doing like the second grade division, we want to find the remainder, right? Because decimals don't exist in second grade. So
to
you just take
find-
the remainder of 8 divided by 3.
Exactly. So if we want the length of the array is odd or even, we can just do the length of the array mod 2. And then if the remainder is 0, that means it's divisible by 2, which means it's even. So let's just call that, what do you want to call that? Even. So this variable will be true if the length of the array is even, or false if it's not. So now we know whether the array is even or odd. And now we can find the median accordingly. So let's say if the array is even, then we'll have to do the average, right? So the average of this would be, well, we need to identify what are the two middle elements, right? Let's see, if we just look at the indices of this array, 3, 4, 5, well, the length of the array is 6, and the two middle values are 2 and 3. Those are the middle indexes. Okay? So how can we put this more generally? If we have the length of the array, how can we find 2 and 3 from it?
Maybe 6 divided by 3 and then 6 divided by 3, or no, 6 divided by 2 and then 6 divided by 2 minus 1.
Right. So our two indexes, let's call them I and J. So I would be the length of the array divided by 2. And J be the length of the array. Would just be, sorry about that, I minus 1, right? Okay, so now that we have our two middle elements, we can just compute the average. Just do that one line here. You return.
And depending on your language, you may have to do something a little bit different. In languages like Java and C++, it will default to integer division, which means it'll divide it and throw away anything that's after the decimal points. So if you do 3 divided by 4 in Java, so you would do 3 times 4, 3 plus 4, it would be 7. Divided by 2, it'll come out to be 3, not 3.5. In Python, it's going to default to, and this is the part that that's a little tricky. Python does not do integer division by default. Like that is going to result in a decimal value.
Yes.
In languages like Java, C++, it will default to integer division. So you're going to need to either cast the sum of those two numbers into a float or a double and divide it by 2, or do array I plus array j divided by 2.0. That will then put it into a decimal number. Otherwise, it will default to the integer number and throw away the decimal
And then also for this, are we printing output or are we returning?
printing.
Okay, so we would not return this. We would print that. Okay, so that's if the array is even in length. If it's odd, no one knows. And instead, we would just select the middle element. What would that be? Which index would that be?
If you have a length of 5, you get the middle elements. What index is that?
Well, yeah, say we have this array where the index is 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks like that is the middle element. But the length of this array here is 5. So how do we get 2 of that?
Divide it by 2 and round down.
Right.
Integer
okay.
division. In this case, this is the time when you need to use integer division. Integer division is always going to round down. It throws away everything after the decimal point. Even if you have 2.99 as a result of integer division, that's going to be 2. It just discards everything after the decimal point and always going to round down.
So in that case, our element would be at the index length of the array. Sorry, my bad. I'm doing this wrong. Length of array divided by 2.
In Python, integer division is done by 2 slashes. Yeah, in most languages, it's done using only 1 slash. By default, integer division is, what is the default? In Python, it's not. Gets confusing. Do it in your own language. Practice it a bunch.
So, wanted to do the full solution Python, we need to add our original line, select the input, the map, int input dot split.
Let's run that with a list.
Oh, yes. My bad.
I always forget that one. You have to turn this one into a list, otherwise you will not be able to use the indexes. I don't exactly know what map returns, but it's
Yeah, I don't know.
data structure. It's lazy, so it doesn't give you the next number unless you ask for it. So you cannot index it.
So in Python, that would be your type solution.
What's the
It
fastest?
returns a map object.
Map object. Okay, yeah,
Is this the fastest? I believe so. I don't think
that's the
there's
intended
anything
solution.
faster.
Yep.
If anyone knows time complexity, what would be the time complexity solution? Yes, and log n, and that would be because of this. So O of n log n, that would be the fastest. What's the time complexity of the map function? Not quite. It is O of n, because you're going through each element in mapping. Yes.
It does depend on the function that you give it. Let's say maybe instead of an int, you give it like a function that also is O of n, maybe. Then it would be, because it's calling that function on each of those inputs. Maybe if that function is really long, maybe your function that you're using the map on is O of n, then it's going to come out to be O of n times n. It does depend on the function you give it. Int is O of 1.
That's true. Int is O of 1, yeah.
So
O
we're
of
just
1
gonna-
10 times less. O of n.
For input parsing, we only need to worry about the data types, usually just int.
Do we know how to sort an array in Java and C++? You guys know how to sort an array in Java?
In Java, and use this. Please don't make your own sorting algorithms. You can, but it's just a time waster. You just use what the language has. It'll save you time. It'll make your code a bit cleaner. In Java, it would be arrays, sort, and whatever your ARR is. You do have to import the arrays library to do this to work.
Return? What is a sort?
It will just
Sort of looks like?
Why is there? What's that name on?
whatever array you give it.
Arrays is the arrays library in Java. Module. Module or
Library.
package? I'm not sure the terminology, but yeah. The sort method belongs to the arrays. Yeah, that's. And then the logic here is pretty much the same in Java and C++, except for what Jason was saying with the integer division. With Java and C++, you would have to typecast this to float or double before dividing by 2. And then, yeah. And then for this one here, you would just use a single slash because by default it's integer division. Yeah. Cool. Does everyone understand this? This makes sense? Yeah. All right. Maybe we can move on to. Is it okay if we move on to a new problem?
Should we go for the C++ sorting as well?
Oh yeah, sure. How that works.
I'm just gonna look up an
Do either of you know how to sort in C++?
something.
It would be, but I don't know the exact.
We just,
Yeah, I don't remember the syntax for that.
What we could do in int, we're gonna first start by making an int in, which in is kind of pretty much how big the array is. It's gonna be the size of this list, ARR, divided by the size of each element of the list. In this case, we have a list of integers. It would end up being size.
I have it pulled up.
Go for it.
What?
I have it.
Oh,
What is the
Oh, there it is.
what is the
Yeah.
n supposed to be?
where is it?
Oh, so it says r plus.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's like an iterable object, maybe something.
And that's for their case. But if I can show you,
When we do this code over here, it's gonna give me the full size of the array and divided by the size of the first element of the array. Overall, all this code is going to do is give me the length of the array.
No.
I think. We already actually, in that code that we gave for the problem, we already have the length. This in pretty much is the length. There's an alternate way to calculate the length. If you already have the length, don't worry about this one. It's length equals all that stuff.
okay, on this one.
After that, all you need to do is to call sort on that.
From first element to the last element?
That's what I pulled up.
Just like that.
Hmm.
Is that right, you guys?
I think it's
C++?
from the first iterable object to the
Hopefully,
yeah.
last iterable element.
And that's
Yeah, I don't.
The sort sorter in place, so it's not going to return anything. It's just going to sort the array.
What's the plus sign?
So C++ is weird. You have to start from the first. Oh. Right, yeah.
I think that you're doing it array plus n. So
And-
the next.
N is the length of the array. It's probably some weird memory location stuff.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, I need to learn C++.
a little bit better, yeah.
I'm going to use Java at the ICPC. That's a joke. Does this make sense to everyone? Do you have any questions on this one?
Cool.
I will be going over this tomorrow as well, just like a final refresher. A few reminders about input parsing is that make sure to take a very, very close look at the input format and the input scripts. That's going to show you how big your inputs can be. And depending on the size of your inputs, our scanner.next int might not work. There's special cases. Sometimes I will give you problems where your integers are 10 to the 18th power in size. That won't fit inside an integer. The limit of an integer is, or a standard 32-bit integer, that's going to be 2 to the 31st minus 1. That's only approximately 10 to the third, sorry, 10 to the
Third.
we can approximate 2 to the 10 as 10 to the third, which is
10 to the
approximately
ninth.
10 to the 9th.
Yeah, okay.
Some problems will give you integers that go up to 10 to the 18th, or maybe 3 times 10 to the 18th. 10 to the 18th is the limit for a 64-bit. 2 to the 63rd minus 1 is approximately 9 times 10 to the 18th. Oh, the same logic here.
How would we get a larger integer?
What do you call a long integer? You call it a long. You call it a long. It's called a long. In Java, it's called long. C++ is called long, which is 2 longs. The reason it's different in C++ is because different operating systems and different processors may allocate different memory to the long, to some specific data types. For example, maybe int could be a 16-bit, and maybe a long by itself could be a 32-bit. I'm just making those numbers, but I'm pretty sure int is always going to be at minimum 32-bit. Long is at minimum 32-bit. Or long is at minimum a 64-bit. It's like a lower limit. Just make sure you use long, 64-bit. Same in Java. Int really just smaller long. You can use long instead of int in both languages. Usually in competitive programming, it's good to default to long because are big numbers. It's a big
Alright.
container to store big numbers.
I think that's
Good
it.
on that?
Anyone have any final questions before the concept?
So can only one person be on the computer full time?
You can switch. Oh yeah, you can switch. Only one person at a time.
Okay.
One computer protein.
One person.
Yes.
You can bring your own. Yeah, that's fine.
We're also not quite sure about. We don't want to make it Google search. We want you guys to be able to help. So like if it's stuff like syntax or like how to use the sort function, like that's okay. But we don't want people to be looking up problems or like ChatGPT Of course, we can't really stop you guys, but then like the whole thing is gone. So yeah,
Yourself. You look up things online. What do you learn? Don't just make sure to learn something. Do it by hand from experience.
Can you switch between problems?
That's fine.
also I believe if you want to bring in written materials like stuff, that's okay. If you want to bring in notes, or if you have any like textbooks or whatever, just keep it to like paper stuff, not digital. I think that's it.
Any final thoughts?
I think that's it. Yeah. All right. Thank you guys
Good
for coming today.
And I'll hope to see most of you in the
Yeah.
contest tomorrow. Pizza, some breakfast. It'll be
Wait, what's
fun.
for breakfast?
Breakfast?
Yeah.
Yeah.